And now book recs, because I know we're running up against time, right? And we had a specific request for book recs. The business, my favorite business building book was E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. That was one that had a pretty big impact on me. And the impact was thinking systematically. Like, I can build my own practice, but if I think about, like, if I built my own practice thinking that we're more like a franchise and how can I help other people build it, I didn't start that right away, but even just thinking that way helped me think, like, what's the system that I could use that would consistently get me clients? Not like, it took me out of thinking, what is the amazing feat I could do this week that would get clients? Does that make sense? So even at the very beginning, I started thinking systematically about business building. That was one. Two, I read Jonathan Haidt's books. I really like Jonathan Haidt as an author. He has a couple books out there. He was a professor, and I think he's a professor at NYU now. But he writes a lot of books about neurology and the brain and morality, and recently about politics and why people go different directions, and just the psychology of all of that. My favorite one, though, is the happiness hypothesis, where he talks about the elephant and the rider as a metaphor for our brain and mind. And I think it's an amazing read in the sense that he's a good writer, and his science is solid. And I felt like what it did for me was it helped me realize this idea that whatever's happening here surface level, there are deeper agendas here, and there's deeper stuff. And if you can get a feel for that when you're listening to executive clients, especially, it will take your coaching to another level. So those would be it. Those would be the two. And it's spelled Haidt. It's his last name, but it's pronounced Haidt. I had lunch with him once at International Positive Psychology Association. I was like a little groupie. I hung out after his speech for a while, and he had some other lunch plans, but the people didn't show up, and so he just was there solo. So I invited him to meet with my little group, and it was so cool. I'm like, here he is, we've Jonathan Haidt right here, like, kind of thing. And he was cool about it, and he was open. He's just a really down to earth guy. So yeah, anyway.
And I think one of the questions was also around books on executive coaching questions. So are there books that we can recommend on specifically around executive coaching questions? One of the things I would say is I'm always noting down what question I would ask, even from reading a book. I think it's practicing that all the time, isn't it? That curiosity and thinking what question stems to mind, or borrowed insight. John talks about kind of borrowed insight there. Observe and listen to other people and the way they ask questions as well. And I create a catalogue of all kinds of questions that I can keep in my back pocket as well. Right.
Yeah. Another book I really liked, another thing that had a big impact was Strengths Finders. I think anything around personality assessments, Strengths Finders, I feel like anything with any assessment-based stuff. It's not that you have to like say this is who I am kind of deal. I don't go that. I don't believe that much in those things, as much as it just brings up interesting stuff for people, and you're just after interesting stuff, even in the executive world. Yeah, I think Strengths Finders is great. I know this system. I know Jeff, if you're watching, you probably know 20 of them I don't even know. So like, what color is your parachute? Things like that. So yeah, I'd go for it. And I wouldn't overthink it or try to go after too many catalogs of questions, as much as look for like concepts to try out. Like the elephant and the rider. Like, what's the elephant want? What's the rider want? Like, let's look at, like, think more like conceptually, as opposed to, hey, I have this list of 100 questions. Let me just try them out.
Sounds good. I think
how are we doing, Raj?
Time's up. I think our time's up, John.